You know how pleasing it is to see a continuation of Rakugo, to see this series finally back after such a long time? It makes me so happy because I finished the day off, this big day of anime off. So much came out today. I finished it off with my personal favorites, Rakugo. If this is your first time seeing me talk about Rakugo, I'm just going to say right now, stop what you're doing and go watch this brilliant series. Rakugo is a series that has such good writing. If you have never seen the first season, please go watch it. It's such a good series. Now, with that being said, Season 2 is here. And Yotaro starting off Season 2 with breaking the fourth wall was definitely a great way to get right back into what makes Rakugo so good. This man just retelling the entire events of Season 1, in case you kind of forgot, in a Rakugo type of style, makes me happy, because this is the type of, flashbacks to retelling that we should see from this series, and it also fits with the theme of the episode, because let's kind of go along with how the start of the episode was breaking the fourth wall, and where the episode kind of went to towards the end of the episode. If we think at the end of the episode, you have it to where Yotaro, he wants to write his own stories. He wants to write his own Rakugo. Different stories to tell to different people. And with the beginning of this episode, he is kind of telling a different type of story. He's not doing the traditional type of Rakugo story. He's not doing a classic. He's actually doing something that was already written. And it was written by someone else. It's not the traditional classic Rakugo story. And so I kind of like how the beginning of the episode plays a huge part with the main message at the end of the episode. Now, I don't know if the writers were going with that when they were making that, scene at the beginning of this episode, but it definitely fit the ending conclusion with how many stories are going to be written now to change Rakugo and make it to where it can continuously survive throughout the changing tides throughout history. And so when you see this episode, I'm like, yo, that start and then the message towards the end, it just makes so much sense. So Rakugo, once again, just stunning me with some very good writing and setup for some of the events for the future. Now, before I get into talking about the core content of this episode, I want to talk about something that many might not have seen yet, and that would be the opening song of Rakugo Season 2. Now, FYI, many most likely haven't seen it. So before I start talking about it, I'm just going to let you know, link to the opening song is in the description. So if you want to see the opening song for yourself before I talk about it, link is in the description. You can see it for yourself. So now that most of you most likely have seen the opening song, did you all notice how ominous that opening was? How Bon was the main focus throughout the entirety of that opening? The opening starts off with clock ticking, and you just see the characters' faces popping up, like the main faces of Rakugo that are going to shape Rakugo's history for the future and how they shaped it in the past as well. And you see, just time passing by, and then the opening focuses on Bon. You see this man walking by himself. He's going over to a cliff, and he falls off into a big, ocean, and you see this light there, and when he hits the ocean, the entire angle of the camera just flips, and it looks like he's looking up now, even though he fell into the water, and you see how you have Yotaro just reaching his hand down towards him to pull him up out of the darkness into the light. And I like the direction of that opening. It's very ominous to let us know that it's not just trying to send a message that maybe Bon is going to die in this season of Rakugo, which that's a very likely conclusion to Season 2, but also how much Rakugo has shaped Bon's life throughout his entire journey. I mean, we gotta realize, with the events of Season 1, it kind of gave us a lot of characterization to Bon and what really happened to him and why he is like he is nowadays and why he seems so stern or why he wants to die with Rakugo. It makes so much more sense now. We know that Rakugo has changed his life for good. It has had a huge impact on him to where he should honestly, at this point, realize that he needs to just be done with Rakugo. Either he hates it a lot or he truly truly loves it and he just wants to die with it like if it's his final lover. And that's kind of how you can look at his relationship with Rakugo. I mean, he hates it, but he still loves it, and he doesn't want it to become corrupted, which he even states in this episode. He's like, I don't want it to be corrupted and new stories to pop up and stuff. I'd rather die with Rakugo than to see it corrupted. It's kind of like he's saying, I still cherish Rakugo, I still love it, but at the same time, you can see that he has some form of hatred towards it for what it has done to his life. So the complicated relationship that Bon has with Rakugo was something that I really found entertaining about Season 1, and I'm glad it's kind of getting the big focus of Season 2. Now, with that being said, the main part of this episode, like the main focus, is Yotaro kind of being promoted. He's in a very big position now. It's been a huge time skip since the conclusion of Season 1. He's moved up in status. He's now able to do whatever he wants. He can write his own songs and no one really can stop him from doing so. I mean, he has now inherited the title of someone he wanted to, be like, his own, inspiration, his idol. He finally has their title for his name now. He's no longer Yotaro anymore. He now is someone he admired since the beginning of Season 1. So, I mean, the overall episode was just letting us know how much Yotaro has progressed as a person since the conclusion and where he wants to take Rakugo now. He wants to take Rakugo down a new path, and that was kind of the whole point of Season 1. As we know, Rakugo is a dying form of entertainment. Not many people want to watch Rakugo. I mean, everybody doesn't want to sit down in a theater and watch someone perform and be a storyteller. Not many people want to see that. It really isn't. And when you see this, episode, it goes back on the main focus of what the story was about. It's about to where Rakugo is dying, and some of our characters want to save it. They don't want it to die, and Rakugo needs to change. It's like how anything throughout history needs to constantly reinvent itself to constantly kind of fight back the tide of change. I mean, that's how all companies are in this world. Even today, there's companies that are constantly fighting change, new things that go out, many, people find interesting. For instance, let's say VR right now. That's a big thing right now in the gaming industry. You have it to where people want VR. They want the Oculus Rift. They want PlayStation Pro. They want all these different things, and many companies are having to reinvent themselves, do different things to keep up with what the public wants. And that's kind of what Rakugo is going to need to do. It needs to reinvent itself, change itself, for many will still continue to want to watch Rakugo, or at least listen to it. And so with Yotaro wanting to change it for the better, it's actually a good thing. In the way many have viewed, people coming in and trying to change Rakugo, they usually view it negatively, but at the same time though, things need to be changed or your entire form of entertainment is going to die. Even in this episode, it was stated that many more theaters of Rakugo were shut down in the West. All of them are shut down, and the only one left right now in Tokyo is the one where Yotaro performs in. So, Rakugo is a dying form of entertainment, and right now the only way to save it is by changing it. So, Rakugo Season 2 sets up the plot quite clearly for what we need to expect from the continuation of the series. We now are focusing on Yotaro instead of Bon and what happened with his life, but also how most likely Yotaro is going to shape Bon's life for the future. For instance, Bon is probably going to get to see how Rakugo changes and how he feels about that. Will he open up and will he realize that Rakugo needs to change, or will he allow Rakugo to die with him and that'll be just GG right then and there? We'll have to see what direction his character takes and how he will be shaped by Yotaro and his decisions throughout the series. Now, one last thing to talk about before I end this video, Konatsu. I think that's her name, Konatsu. She has a baby, and oh my god, the adorable romance in this episode. I did not expect that at all. When Yotaro is like, I can be the father of the baby and all that, I can help you, I don't want you to be alone. And you just see how they were working together, you just see the blushing and stuff. Like, I just didn't expect to see that type of romantic feelings between these characters, how they're getting together and stuff. I'm like, this is just freaking adorable. So Konatsu actually having help from Yotaro, that makes me happy. And I hope that the relationship between these two don't end off in tragedy like what happened in Season 1 of Rakugo. We know what happened to the relationship, one of the relationships, the big focus of what happened, and the tragedy of how, certain deaths could be prevented thanks to just a little bit more of communication and how accidental it was. I mean, hopefully, that doesn't happen. For instance, the relationship we're seeing forming in Season 2, it doesn't end off in tragedy. Rakugo doesn't destroy this relationship. Maybe it makes them grow stronger, it makes them have a bigger bond with each other to where, they want to spend more time with each other, and and Rakugo will be in more of a positive light. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you all feel about this week's episode of Rakugo? It's now coming out every Friday. I'm very excited to see the continuation of this series. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.